Hey everybody, week 6 Bills recap for you here. Recapping a Bills 14-9 win over the Giants in a ugly game, especially from the standpoint of a Bills fan here. So Buffalo moves to 4-2 on the season, keeps pace with Miami. Ugly game, but I guess as they say in the NFL, you got to take them where you can get them. So we'll get into it. It was not a pretty stat day, especially for the offense. Josh Allen, only 169 yards passing, 19 completions, 30 attempts. He did have 2 touchdowns and a pick. Not really sure what's going on with the offense right now. You look at the game from last week against Jacksonville, and they sputtered. They just looked totally out of sync. Then towards the end of the game, things started to click, and they moved the ball and put some points on the board. And everybody kind of blamed that on the travel and the hassle of the London game. But a full week back in Buffalo, back in the facility, back in their own houses, and back to the routine. And boy, this offense just hit second straight week. It has just looked pitiful, and I've called his name out every week. I'll say it again. It's Ken Dorsey's problem right now, man. He is like I said in the first video, he doesn't like to get out of his own way sometimes, and I think this week especially, maybe because it was a little bit of a homecoming, so to speak, with Brian Daboll coming back to Buffalo, and Tyrod Taylor, and even the GM of the Giants was under Brandon Beane for a while. So maybe he was trying to be a little extra with the former offensive coordinator coming to town to try and show him, look what I can do or something. But man, this was not a very good game plan, and it almost seems at times, and there's been some Bills beat writers that have kind of pointed this too, that he almost tries to get too particular with his calls and his scheme, and if just one little thing doesn't go right, it just blows the whole thing up. So with the Bills offense like this, with the weapons they have, 14 points in a game is a major letdown, let alone those 14 points came in the fourth quarter. So it was a very bad effort, I would say, at least from the play calling standpoint. But the one guy that I have called out besides Dorsey every week has also been Stephon Diggs. Like I said last week, he is my Bills MVP right now. He is, I think, single-handedly putting the Bills offense on his back, and helping him keep pace with Miami and the rest of the AFC. So he actually got 16 targets this week, which was kind of a larger number, especially for him. But 16 targets, 10 receptions, and 100 yards even. Cool little stat. He's the first Bill in the history of the franchise to record 100-yard games 4 straight weeks. So that's pretty cool. Then they said he's also just the 5th player in the Super Bowl era with 100 receiving yards in 5 of the first 6 games of the season. So cool little nuggets if you're into stats. But yeah, Diggs, he's my MVP right now. He's definitely, I guess, kind of keeping the offense at bay. And it's funny you say that, because all you heard this offseason was how much of a distraction and whatnot he is. So good to see him prove everybody wrong. Getting into a little bit more of the offense. James Cook. He, weeks 2, 3, and 4, he was heavily involved in the offense. A lot of runs with him, and last week in Jacksonville, very limited touches. And this week, again, it was the same kind of story. At least in the first half, it was. And the first half of the whole game, there was only 9 total runs by the Bills, and those were by 3 different backs. So, yeah, very, very strange why we're not getting Cook involved. He did end the day with 71 rushing yards on 14 attempts, but most of that came in the third quarter. And technically, he didn't even get to start this game. It was Latavius Murray that was, I guess, credited with the start. So, very weird what they're doing with James Cook these last 2 weeks. I don't know if there's something internal that we just don't know about, but he went from being a key factor, that 3-week stretch, and then just these last 2 weeks he has been non-existent, and it's beyond frustrating, especially as a Bills fan. We've been screaming to get him involved, and then they finally do, and good things happen, and he's kind of disappeared. So I don't know what that's all about. Again, that may be something internal we don't know a whole bunch about, but yeah, beyond frustrating, especially when you got a playmaker with his abilities. Not only as a running back, but as a pass catcher, he's one of the best catching backs in the league. I mean, that's what that was one of his big attributes coming out of Georgia was his ability to the quick passes out of the backfield to make guys miss and get them yards. So don't know. Hopefully, going forward, maybe we'll revert back to what was working and try and get this offense back clicking. So we'll go over the drives. Like I said, Buffalo didn't score any points until the fourth quarter. So the first half, they go punt, fumble, punt, missed field goal, and then interception before halftime. Very, very pitiful first half performance. I mean, it was a lot of throwing early on, and it was almost as if the running game wasn't even part of the game plan the first half, and you could see why. You could see why the offense struggled, I should say. But coming out of the second half, they go touchdown, and then a missed field goal, which was a big missed field goal. We'll touch on here in a minute. But, the first touchdown they scored, they got the ball mid-third quarter. Giants received the second half kick, drove down the field, burned some time, but didn't come away with any points. And then Buffalo took over, and they put together a 17-play drive for just under 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 58 seconds to be exact. That was an impressive drive, and more importantly, it ended in 6 points. So, they go touchdown, and then the missed field goal, and the missed field goal is something that made the end of the game very, very interesting. Buffalo scored that second touchdown. They go up. They basically had the game in hand. They had just stuffed the Giants going for it on fourth down, basically at midfield, took over on downs, already in field goal range. All they had to do, just run the ball, kill the clock, make the Giants burn their timeouts, kick the field goal, you're up 8 points. Game's basically over from there. They go run, kill 2 timeouts, and then a play comes in for play action. And it was, I didn't hate the play call. Josh had Dawson Knox wide open, and it was a little bit of a low throw, but still one Knox should have caught, but he didn't. Saved the Giants a timeout. But you still feel pretty good as a Bills fan because, you got Tyler Bass, who's one of the best in the business. You bring him out. I believe they said it was a 50-yard field goal, and pushes it wide right. His second miss of the game. Both of them wide right. And any Bills fan that is 30 years or older, you hear wide right and the Giants in the same sentence, and you have flashbacks. So, two missed field goals, and but missed field goal gives the Giants the ball back. I'd say maybe about a minute 30 left. Don't know the exact, but give it to them right back at the midfield and one timeout, and they were able to do some quick underneath passes, and Buffalo was content giving it to them. They were doing, seemed like 5 yards at a time, catching it, going out of bounds, and they moved all the way down to, I would say, right around the 20. I can't remember exactly where on the field it was, but Tyrod had just scrambled, got out of bounds, 2 seconds left on the game, in the game, and they take the shot in the end zone. Defensive pass interference is called in the end zone, so Giants get the untimed free play from the 1 yard line, chance to win the game. Tyrod fade to the pylon, and was it a hold? Was it interference? On the stat sheet it wasn't. So anyway, they stuff them. Buffalo walks away 14-9, but yeah, it's this is one of those wins that you feel just gross. I mean, I guess maybe we've been spoiled here, as Bills fans these last few years of just knocking the doors off teams, with records and down lower records, and teams that aren't on the same level. But yeah, this year's been a struggle, it seemed like, and me personally, I think some of it has to do with the fact that they're trying to get Josh's running abilities to be like almost non-existent. It seems like, I mean, they haven't called one quarterback run this year. If there have been any Allen runs, it's been by him breaking contain and extending the play. It hasn't been a straight design QB run. I mean, shoot, they haven't even called a QB sneak, I don't believe, yet this year, just to try and pick up the first down. Maybe one, but I mean, it's been almost totally taken out of the playbook, and I think teams are maybe starting to hone in on that a little bit. But yeah, in my opinion, that threat needs to at least be there. It doesn't need to be there as often as it's been these last few years. I get it. He's your franchise. You want to keep him upright, but yeah, you need to get him involved a little bit more from that aspect. At least keep the defenses, honest. But yeah, other than that, that's all I've got this week. I could sit here and probably complain a little bit more about Ken Dorsey, but not going to do any good. They're not going to fire him mid-season. And honestly, I'd be surprised if they move away from him in the offseason. Doesn't seem like a type of thing Sean McDermott would do, especially since Dorsey's loved by Josh Allen so much. So anyway, Buffalo moves to 4-2. They travel to New England this week, which on paper should be a Bills win, going up against the 1-5 Patriots team. But New England's got a good defense over there, so I don't think it's as clear cut as the records would indicate. Especially with it being a division game, they're always pretty tough. Buffalo, I think, opens up as maybe 8.5 favorites right now, but yeah, should be good. Hopefully the offense gets back to humming this week, and we'll be sitting here next week talking about the 5-2 Bills. The last thing I do want to say real quick before we get off, another shout out to Sean McDermott's defense. They have been balling out this year. Even losing guys, big guys like Trey White, Matt Milano, Daquan. I mean, you lose 3 big names and you just held the team to 3 field goals. So, yeah, shout out to the defense, and that's part of the frustration. Seeing how good the offense should be and how great this defense is playing. These games shouldn't have been as stressful as they have been. So, but yeah. Anyway, appreciate y'all tuning in, listening to me vent. Yeah, we'll see y'all next week, and go Bills.